So last weekend I got the finally got the time lapse to work and put together a nice video with some multiple angles and all that. It was a big weekend. Got the first drive on the car in, took it around the block. This weekend, not really a lot to make a video about, just lots of little stuff. Had to get the garage cleaned up. I finally got the car out and start knocking away the things that showed up during the first drive. So I guess the first thing I did was I worked on the shroud for the radiator. It was about 4 inches too long, so I cut one end off, and it was shaped funny. It wasn't straight. There's like weird notch in it for the Ford that it's made to go on. So I managed to find this piece of plastic. It's a lid to a Rubbermaid container, but it was the same height as this, so I just cut that off and bonded it on with some epoxy and painted it black, so I can get the radiator on the fan on the radiator. Now I gotta go to the junkyard and find the pigtail. Tried to buy the pigtail new and it was 75 bucks, so that ain't gonna happen. After that, I'll be able to get rid of the just little cheapo eBay fan and put the factory unit on there. Got the battery hold down finally installed. I had to do some bending and tweaking to get that in. It was just tie strapped in for the test drive. I got all the wiring that was against the firewall properly secured. I got the clamps in there, and now I don't have to worry about that wiring getting up into the belts. I had a different expansion tank on here. I had this expansion tank on here, and really having trouble with the radiator. I can't, or the cooling system. I can't seem to get it to burp. I think I may have a bad thermostat because it's really hot on the engine side of the thermostat and drops off quickly coming away from it into the cooling line. So I don't think the thermostat's opening. But the other thing is I had that tank on there and it wasn't the factory style tank. This is the factory tank, so I hadn't been using it because I had broken this nipple off. So I drilled and tapped and JB welded a new nipple on there so that I could put the stock tank back on. But then when I put it on, it bolted to that hole and that hole, which put the cap directly under the bar, so you couldn't remove the cap. And I think the best way to fill this up, doing some reading on the forums and getting all the air out, is to actually fill it through here with a radiator funnel. It's a special type of funnel for filling a radiator. So made a little bracket to relocate it. It's amazing how just making a little bracket like that turns into a 3-hour project. But by the time you measure it and make a template and cut it and drill it and clean it up and powder coat it, there's a whole afternoon gone. The other thing I've gotten into is seat belts. Started working on those. I've got some non-retractable ones over there that I bought, but after looking at how the factory belts work and what kind of shape they're in pretty good shape. I may decide to use them. The kit gives you a place to mount them up here and right there, but it doesn't give you anywhere on the floor to mount them. I'm thinking maybe with the Subaru seats, the bottom's actually mounted on the seats, but I've got aftermarket seats, so I'm gonna have to weld somewhere in here because I don't want to just drill a 7/16 hole in a 1-inch tube. That wouldn't leave me a lot of strength left, so I'm gonna have to weld something on here to mount the bottom of the seat belts. So that'll be a big project though, because I've got to take everything out of the interior. I don't want to be welding right beside my gas tank. I got to remove my gas tank. Not looking forward to that. That may be next weekend's project, is getting it empty and welding in some plates to bolt the seat belts to. But cleaned up some wiring, got my temperature gauge on the dash working so that I'm in not such a hurry to get the CAN bus converter working, and just plugging away at little things. So not a whole lot to make a video about. Hopefully next weekend I'll get the thermostat changed and maybe get the seat belt anchors welded in, and then I'll be able to make another drive.